Well, hello again. It's been a while since I've recorded a video, and I hope you guys are doing good. I trust that you found the lectures interesting from last week. And today, I wanted to introduce to you a pretty scathing objection from what are called the new atheists, guys like Richard Dawkins, Christopher Hitchens. They've come out with their bats swinging, their guns blazing, and I just want to read you a few objections. Richard Dawkins writes this: no one takes their morality from the Bible. Ouch, you might think. The Bible is a book full of amazing moral principles, and he's saying no one would ever do that. If you're going to be a moral person, you wouldn't rely on the Bible. Why does he say that? Well, in the book, The God Delusion, he writes this: the God of the Old Testament is arguably the most unpleasant character in all of fiction, jealous and proud of it, a petty, unjust, unforgiving, control freak, a vindictive, bloodthirsty ethnic cleanser, a misogynistic, homophobic, racist, infanticidal, genocidal, filicidal, pestilential, megalomaniacal, sadomasochistic, and capriciously malevolent bully. If you just imagine how awful of a sentence that is, taking the God we love and giving him those kind of adjectives. Christopher Hitchens says this: the Bible may, indeed does, contain a warrant for trafficking in humans, for ethnic cleansing, for slavery, for bride price, and for indiscriminate massacre. But we are not bound by any of it, because it was put together by crude, uncultured mammals. So again, very much along the same lines as Richard Dawkins. He says, another quote: nothing proves a man-made character of religion as obviously as a sick mind that designed hell. Christopher Hitchens goes on to write. So we need to deal with subjection. We need to deal with chiefly this complaint about the God of the Old Testament, who commanded that the Canaanites be annihilated. So that's really objection number one I want to tackle head on, is what about the invasion of the Canaanites? What about the slaughter of the women and children and the enslavement of others? And we get this from the verse in Joshua where it says, and when the Lord your God gives them over to you and you defeat them, then you must devote them to complete destruction. And you must make no covenant with them and show no mercy to them. This action violates, you would say, the biblical principle of love the stranger, and to be inconsistent with the existence of a God who is said to be compassionate. In fact, it seems like God is guilty of ethnic cleansing, similar to the Holocaust, in fact. So we need to think about this objection and how we're gonna answer this objection. And so I do have a couple things I want to share with you in response. And maybe it's a good idea to grab a piece of paper and a pen and jot some things down. Four main responses here. The first response is that we have to understand the destruction of the Canaanites as the exception, not the rule. The principles governing warfare in Deuteronomy are remarkably humanitarian for the time, actually. For example, God makes it clear that the Israelites were to administer justice for the fatherless and the widow, love the stranger, giving him food and clothing. Therefore, love the stranger, God says, for you were strangers in the land of Egypt. And that comes from Deuteronomy 10. The Israelite men were excused from war if they had just got engaged, bought a house, planted a vineyard, or were fearful. Deuteronomy 20. The Israelites were not allowed to just stroll into enemy territory and kill everyone and plunder the land. They were commanded to first try for a peaceful settlement, aiming for a vassal tribute type relationship. That's found in Deuteronomy 20. Also found in Deuteronomy 20, if their enemies would not surrender, then only the men could be killed in warfare. The women and the children must be spared. And so when we consider the annihilation of the Canaanites, we have to think of it as the exception, not the rule. So that's step one. Maybe it's not a hugely important step, but I think it's an important thing to start off with, is that Not throughout the entire Old Testament do you see God giving this command to wipe out everybody from a particular group of people. Second thing, according to God, the annihilation of the Canaanites was morally justifiable. Notice that in Deuteronomy 9, verse 4, it says, because of the wickedness of these nations, the Lord is driving them out from before you. In other words, it has nothing to do with race or ethnicity. It's a morally justifiable action that God then commands his people to execute on his behalf. Deuteronomy 12, further to that, says this, every abominable thing that the Lord hates, they have done for their gods, for they even burn their sons and their daughters in the fire to their gods. And so point number 2 then is that wiping out the entire Canaanite population, God says, is morally justifiable because they were doing such horrendous things as child sacrifice. Third, it's important to say just how patient God had been with these nations, judging them after several centuries of sheer evil. God's judgment was based on the sheer evil of a group that had been brewing for centuries. God tells Abraham, you might remember, that his descendants could not take possession of the land of Canaan yet, because, in quotes, the iniquity of the Amorites is not yet complete. In other words, there's coming a point in history where their utter destruction will be morally justifiable. And then the fourth comment is along these lines. Just to reiterate the fact it has nothing to do with ethnic cleansing or racial superiority. This charge that God is a genocidal God, for example, is totally foundless. Point A of point 4, God warns them, his own people, and he says this, do not say in your heart, after the Lord your God has thrust them out before you, it is because of my righteousness that the Lord has brought me in to possess this land of Canaan. Whereas it is because of the wickedness of these people that the Lord is driving them out before you. So it's not like God looks at the Jewish or the Israelite people and say, oh, because you're a better race than this other race, I'm going to have you eliminate that race. In fact, he straight up says to them, it's not because of anything in you. It's because I've hated the wickedness of those Canaanite people that I've drove them out before you. But then also consider this. God doesn't exempt his own people from the similar punishment. He says to his own people, and if you forget the Lord your God and go after the gods and serve them and worship them, I solemnly warn you today that you shall surely perish. Like the nations that the Lord makes to perish before you, so shall you perish, because you would not obey the voice of the Lord your God. That's Deuteronomy 8, 19 to 20. And history confirms that this is exactly what happened. God destroyed his people in this whole process of the exile. And if you read some of the prophets, I've been reading through the Old Testament prophets, I'm nearly done. It's incredible how the level of punishment that God brings on his own people. And so that takes away this charge that God has anything to do with ethnic cleansing. And so the conclusion to this first objection then is that it's simplistic and it's inaccurate to regard the invasion of Canaan as ethnic cleansing by a war-thirsty Israelite people. In fact, it was carried out for moral reasons as a judgment for something so evil that would equally bring judgment on the Israelites themselves. And I think I'll end it there. Maybe tomorrow I will post a follow-up objection just to keep this video of a decent length. So tomorrow I'll tackle one more issue. If you have a good day, take care.